Before humans signed the proverbial social contract and elected a Leviathan who would usurp their role for retribution and deterrence for crime punishment, humans lived in a life that was short, nasty, brutish, solitary, and poor, and in 2022, the resemblance is still uncanny. Mahsa Amini was an Iranian woman whose life was measured on the yardstick of morality. If you think the metric system is flawed, you wouldn't be considered to be wrong. 22-year-old Mahsa Amini lost her life following an alleged infraction of Iran's standard of public morality, that is, improperly wearing her hijab, which led to her arrest, detention, and subsequent death. Her death sparked an uproar, with Iranian women banning their hijabs in protest to the morality police. Following the Iranian Revolution, on or about 7th March 1979, Iranian leader Ayatollah Khomeini decreed that hijab would be mandatory for all women to wear. This sparked protests on International Women's Day with the theme, "We didn't have a revolution, just to go back." Subsequently, in 1983, Parliament passed law that women who did not cover their hair in public would be punished by 74 lashes. This led to the establishment of the Morality Police or Guidance Patrol, which is a paramilitary element of the Iranian law enforcement forces that impose religious observance and public morality and mostly zero in on women's Islamic dress code. The Morality Police has gained much notoriety for conducting arbitrary arrests on women, depriving them of personal liberty by forcing them into detention and re-education centers in which they undergo training for religious observance of Islamic dress code. Following the untimely death of Mahsa Amini that triggered a mass protest, the government through the Progess, a further element of the Morality Police, unleashed a crackdown on protesters that left scores of people dead or injured, according to the human rights group. The Morality Police hasn't just blurred the lines between law and morality in Iran, it's prevalent in Rwanda too. A 24-year-old Rwandan woman, Liliane Mugabekazi, was arrested following her concert attendance in which she wore a sheer dress. 8 days later, she was arrested and indicted for public indecency and is currently serving a 2-year sentence. This brought into sharp focus the paradox of Rwanda. Rwanda has well-deserved bragging rights for having the highest representation of women in parliament all over the world, with the Interparliamentary Union asserting that the proportion of MPs who are women in parliament is at 61.25%. That is way above the current global average, which is 26.4%. Therefore, with all the numbers in parliament, this sparked an online debate as to why parliament never intervened in the case of Liliane Mugabekazi. Abortion, LGBTQ, euthanasia, these are all societal constructs that have long polarized the masses. The criminal justice system and the administration of justice have blurred the chasm between law, morality, and human rights by conflating the first two and neglecting the last one. A mere infraction such as a dress code, which may stem from religious or societal general prism of conduct, at best should be considered as morally or ethically wrong and not a premise for death or criminal persecution. This brings us to the definition of the three: law, morality, and human rights. I'll start with morality. Morals are best described as a form of standards or general principles that stem from societal foundations and/or structures which embed the boundaries between what is considered right or wrong, or what is deemed to be acceptable or unacceptable conduct in the society. However, morals are not backed by legal sanctions. Morals, however, are enforced by social weights, that is, including family, community, and/or church. In a sharp contrast, laws govern the parameters of human conduct through a set body of rules and regulations that we are all subjected to, as we are all equal in the law, well, at least ideally, and whose violation leads to a criminal sanction. With respect to human rights, these are the fundamental standards that govern the rights and freedoms which are antecedent and inherent to every person on this earth, regardless of race, sex, nationality, or any other divisive factor. These human rights are universal and therefore not granted by the state. Women's dress code has long been instrumentalized, and its narrative has been told from one side of history that hyper-focuses on sexualization of women and propagating rape or assault culture. The policing of women's dress code has long been used as a euphemism for ensuring the safety of women. However, this assertion couldn't be more faulted, as the onus of sensitization and awareness on sexual assault should be placed more on the perpetrator of assault and not on the victims. Further, women have long been indoctrinated into false beliefs that their dress code has a correlation to their character and/or morality. The choice of dress code for a woman should have no inkling on her character or morality. This is an unfair assertion that is used as a justification for the objectification of women by denigrating her inherent dignity, gives the perpetrator moral, in quotes, grounds for assaulting her. This objectification is seen even in the politics of schoolgirl uniforms. Therefore, the policing and the politics of women's dress codes all fall under the auspices of misogyny, which falls under the umbrella of patriarchy. In summary, when it comes to the dress code of women, the parameters, if you must judge, should be on the metrics of morality and should not crystallize into law. The dress code at best should be considered on a scale of what is generally acceptable conduct or behavior and what is not. While on its spree of judgment, caution should be taken to still respect the inherent dignity, personal liberty, and freedom from torture of women. This means that whilst you may disagree with a mode of dressing, barbaric acts such as undressing of women, as what happened in Kenya, which sparked the movement My Dress, My Choice, when a woman was accosted by men at a bus stop who stripped her naked and assaulted her for wearing a miniskirt. The men justified their acts by asserting that they were against the moral decadence. However, wouldn't the better solution have been buying her a cloth that covered her up more? Such acts of public sexual assault through undressing, cyberbullying and harassment, and as in the case of Mahsa Amini's death, all these acts have a bearing and corroborate the old adage that the progress of a nation can be measured by its treatment of women. On the international stage, the progress of Iran as a nation with respect to its treatment of women is considered to be a slow descent into savagery. This is premised on its vitriolic attacks on women over dress code and also society at large for affirming their rights to protest the regime's brutal modus operandi. This can be seen by the United States and European Union, which have imposed sanctions on the morality police and its officials for the abuse and violence perpetrated against Iranian women and for the violation of the rights of peaceful protests by Iranians. As much as there's international traction based on the brutality of women over imposed public morality standards, locally, lobbyists should push for a law reform that abolishes regressive laws. Meanwhile, the criminal justice system should implement alternatives to prosecution such as diversion and diversionary programs instead of the draconian approach of criminal sentencing.